Good day, grade 9s. I'm Mrs. Melanie Lowe, Subject Advisor for Natural Sciences, grade 8 and 9. And today we are going to look at two concepts, acids, bases and pH, as well as pH and neutralization. Just to get a general feeling of what acids and bases are, let us look at a few examples. Acids are things like lemon juice, vinegar or acetic acid, tartaric acid that you use in food and wine, swimming pool acid or hydrochloric acid, which is the scientific name, and then battery acid that you use in a car's battery, or sulfuric acid. And then examples of bases are bicarbonate of soda that we use for baking and cleaning. You get that in all kitchens. And then another example of a base is washing powder or dishwashing liquid, bleach or jig, household cleaners like Handy Andy, and then drain cleaners like caustic soda or sodium hydroxide. That's normally what you find in a drain cleaner. I'm sure you are familiar with these examples. Now, very important, what are the differences between acids and bases? Acids normally taste sour. If you taste lemon juice or vinegar, it tastes sour. But bases, if you taste on bicarbonate of soda, it will taste bitter. If you rub acids between your fingers, then it will feel rough on the skin, while bases normally feel slippery. If you rub dishwashing liquid or washing powder between your fingers, then it will feel slippery on your skin. Then very important, strong acids are dangerous and corrosive, and strong bases are equally dangerous and corrosive. And then the last thought here on bases is that a soluble base is called an alkali. If you have bicarbonate soda, the powder, and you dissolve it in water, that solution that you get is called an alkali. So an alkali is just a soluble base. And then neutral substances, they are neither acids nor bases, and examples of neutral substances are pure water, table salt solution, sugar solution, and cooking oil. Now, how do we measure acidity or alkalinity? We use the pH scale or pH, and pH is a measure of how acidic or how basic a substance is. Now, the pH scale ranges from 1 to 14. So you can see on this very colorful slide, the most acidic substances will have a very low pH of 0, 1, 2, or 3. And then as it gets less acidic, it moves more towards the neutral pH of 7. And then if you go beyond 7, greater than 7, then the substances become more basic or more alkaline, up to the most alkaline substance will have a pH of 14. So there you can see a few examples. Battery acid has a very low pH of 0. Stomach acid, lemon, the cool drink, the soft drinks that we drink, the soda, tomatoes, coffee, milk are slightly acidic also with a pH of 7, and then water, distilled water will have a pH of 7. Blood is slightly alkaline. The egg white is also slightly alkaline or basic. And then when you have stomach tablets that you take for heartburn, that will also be basic. Ammonia solution that you find in Handy Andy, your soap, bleach, and then your drain cleaner will have the highest pH of 14. Now, this is very important that you understand the pH scale correctly. So acids have a pH between 1 and 7. Acids have a pH of below 7, less than 7. That's very important. So that is important to remember. Bases have a pH of 7, between 7 and 14. So all the bases will have a pH of greater than 7 or above 7. And then very easy to remember, neutral substances have a pH of 7. Now, how can we test whether something is an acid, a base, or is neutral? We use indicators for that, chemical indicators. Now, the definition for an indicator is used to determine whether a substance is an acid or a base. Now, the first example of an indicator is litmus paper. Now, here's a picture of litmus paper. You can see blue litmus paper. You can also see red litmus paper. You can even use something like red cabbage water or black tea. These indicators will be able to tell you whether a substance is acidic, basic or neutral. Another indicator that we use very frequently in the laboratory is called universal indicator. And universal indicator indicates the full range of pH. So on a universal indicator bottle, you will see different colors, and each color then represents a very specific pH. So that is what is in this last bullet. Universal indicator has a specific color in a specific pH. Now, if you go into the laboratory and you have a base and you dip red litmus paper in a base, there is a piece of red litmus paper, you dipped it in the base, and then you will see the part that you dipped in the base turns blue. So if red litmus paper turns blue, it means that the solution is a base. Now, it's quite easy to remember. Blue with a B indicates a base with a B. That starts also with a B. On the other hand, if you dip a piece of blue litmus paper in a solution and the litmus paper turns red, then you have an acid. So on the right hand side here, we can see blue litmus paper turns red in an acid. So that's very important to remember, the color changes for litmus paper. Then for universal indicator, here you see a test tube rack with a few test tubes, and in each of the test tubes there's another solution, and the color of the universal indicator then indicates a specific pH. So if the color is pink or red, then you have a pH of 1 and 2. If you go more to the orange color, then you have a pH of 3. It indicates a pH of 3. If you go to dark green, then the pH would be 8. Green would indicate a pH of 7. And as you move more to the blue or purple side of the color range, then you know the pH is very high, 12 or 13 or 14. So that is universal indicator, which indicates to us the full range of pH values. Each pH then has a specific color. Now, the next question is, what is the relationship between pH and acidity? So we can see on the scale, if the pH is very low, the solution is highly acidic. But if the pH is high, then the acidity is very low because it's then a base, more alkaline. So this is very important to remember. The lower the pH, the higher the acidity. Because if you go more towards pH of 1, then it's more acidic. So the lower the pH, the higher the acidity. And as the pH decreases, the acidity increases. So as pH decreases, in other words, from 7 to 1, then the acidity increases. It means the solution becomes more acidic. Now let's look at the second part of the presentation. Now we're going to talk about pH and neutralization. So the first question here is, why does ENO help for heartburn? I think you are familiar with the feeling of heartburn. If you have this burning sensation in your throat or in your chest after you've eaten something that's not really good for you, then you feel this burning sensation, and that is called heartburn. And then you take ENO or an antacid. And why does it help? Now the reason for that is your gastric juices that pushes up into the esophagus. Your gastric juices are acidic, but ENO is a base. So if you take ENO, it neutralizes the excess acid in your stomach, and then it helps for the heartburn. Now, very important, the reaction between an acid and a base is called neutralization. That word is very important. That is the reaction between an acid and a base. An acid neutralizes a base, and then the vice versa is also true. A base neutralizes an acid. That process is called neutralization. So the reaction between an acid and a base is a process that we call neutralization. An example of neutralization that you can test in your own kitchen is if you have vinegar and bicarbonate of soda. If you put some vinegar in a glass, You can even dilute it with a little bit of water, vinegar, and then you add bicarbonate of soda in it. Then immediately when the two substances come into contact with each other, you will see that there's some bubbles that form and the chemical reaction is taking place. And the final solution that you will get from this, the product, will be salt, water, and carbon dioxide. So the gas that forms here is carbon dioxide, and what remains in the solution is just harmless salt and water. So this is then important to remember. Vinegar, which is an acid, bicarbonate of soda, which is a base, if they react with each other, the acid-base reaction, that is neutralization, and then in the end, your most common products for a neutralization reaction are salt and water. It's different salts. It's not necessarily table salt. It can be, there are different kinds of salts that we get, but mostly these salts are harmless. Now, to show you the color changes for this reaction, if you put a carbonate of soda in water and you add a little bit of universal indicator to the bicarbonate of soda, the color of the solution will turn purple. If you add vinegar to some water and you add universal indicator to the solution, then the vinegar will turn red. So the universal indicator changing purple in bicarbonate of soda shows a pH of above 7. And then for when it turns red in the vinegar, it shows us a pH of below 7, an acid and a base. But then after the reaction has been completed, the neutralization reaction has been completed, then the color of the universal indicator will become green. And that is a neutral solution of just a harmless salt and water. So let's just summarize what we've seen so far. An acid reacts with a base to make it less basic or neutral. So an acid reacts with a base to make the base less basic. And if it's less basic, it's closer to being neutral, to a pH of 7. So if you add an acid to a base, the pH of the base will decrease because bases have pHs above 7. If you add an acid to the base, then you will be decreasing the pH of the base. The opposite is true when you add a base to an acid. A base reacts with an acid to make it less acidic. So an acid is very acidic. If you add a base to an acid, it becomes less acidic, becomes closer to neutral. So because an acid has a low pH, a pH below 7, if you add a base and it becomes less acidic, the pH will increase and the pH will get closer to 7. So don't get confused between the two. Those two facts are very important. And then just general common laboratory acids that we normally use is either sulfuric acid, or then the general name is battery acid, and the formula is H2SO4. And the other very common laboratory acid that we use is hydrochloric acid. Generally, we use it in the swimming pool as swimming pool acid, or the formula HCl. Now, this is just general information that you can remember. It's a little bit of enrichment. If you have a strong acid like hydrochloric acid and it reacts with a very strong base like sodium hydroxide, the final product will have a pH of 7. But then if you have a strong acid and a weak base like hydrochloric acid and something like bicarbonate of soda, the strong acid dominates the weak base, and then you will have a pH of slightly less than 7. It will not be 100% equal to 7. And the opposite is also true when you have a weak acid like lemon juice or vinegar and you react it with a strong base like sodium hydroxide. A strong base will then dominate the weak acid, and then the final solution will have a pH of slightly above 7. So there's a lot of chemistry behind the last two things that I've mentioned, but it's just good to remember that not all acid-base reactions will give you 100% neutral pH of 7. Some reactions give you a slightly lower than 7 pH, and others are slightly higher than 7 pH. Now, the first thing that you must remember, and because we've done this in last week's lesson, remember that metal oxides like magnesium oxide are basic oxides. So any metal that reacted with oxygen to form a metal oxide are basic oxides. They will have a pH of above 7. But non-metal oxides, like sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide, are again acidic oxides with pHs below 7. And then other bases that you can come across will be metal oxides, like I mentioned now, metal hydroxides like NaOH. Remember, OH is called an hydroxide group, so sodium hydroxide would also be basic or alkaline. And then metal carbonates like calcium carbonate will also be basic. And then so let us just lastly look at the reaction of hydrochloric acid, which is an acid, with magnesium oxide, which is a base. So hydrochloric acid, HCl plus magnesium oxide, it's a base, to form magnesium chloride plus water. So the magnesium combines with the chloride, and the hydrogen and the oxygen combines to form water. Now this reaction is unbalanced because there's only one chloride on the left but two chlorides on the right. So that is why if you put a coefficient of 2 in front of the HCl, your chemical equation now balances. There are 2 hydrogens on the left, 2 hydrogens on the right, 2 chlorides on the left, 2 chlorides on the right, and then 1 magnesium on either side as well as 1 oxygen on either side. So the word equation, HCl is hydrochloric acid, plus MgO, which is magnesium oxide, to form magnesium chloride, MgCl2, and then lastly water or H2O. Then the general word equation for an acid-base reaction is acid plus base forms salt plus water. So this then wraps up our session for this afternoon. Thank you very much for watching.